Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Michael Jordan, the greatest 6-year peak in NBA history, right? Michael Jordan had the greatest peak in NBA history. And like sports and fitness fans like to say, Jordan's peak was his entire career. And he might be right because what Michael Jordan did when he was young, he was still trying to mature his game, but he was a step ahead of everybody else from, I think, we're going to get in his peak from when he came into as a rookie all the way until, what was it, 85, 86? No, 86, 87, right? Michael Jordan was evolving, but he still was better than most guys in the game. So he came into the game. People never seen what Michael Jordan was doing. So this guy was already at his peak, but we're gonna go to his best peak years. And like sports and fitness fans likes to say, his career was his entire peak. His peak was his entire career because he evolved his game to do different things, even though he got older, right? So to me, these are his peak years, basically from 87, 88, all the way until 92, 93. We're going to look at the regular season and we're going to look at the playoffs. And let's be serious. LeBron never had a peak like this. Okay, one thing we'll just say already, in these years, Michael Jordan made the All-Star team every year. He All-NBA first team, All-NBA defensive first team. Let's see, he won 3 MVPs, and it's just incredible. When you see these 80s numbers, this guy only won 1 MVP in the 80s. And let's remember, we're leaving out 86, 87. It was just a notch below 87, 88, right? It was just a notch below that. It really was. So let's get into this because we can just do all this in a 6-year window and we can just come up with the averages and they will be insane. I did that on one video. It was the first 9 years of Michael Jordan's career, all the way from his rookie year until his first retirement in 93. And it was something, it was ridiculous. So we know, let's see, in all these years, Michael Jordan won a scoring title, 2, and three steals titles. But I would like to go over the numbers because you really get a feel of how good it was. So in 87, 88, 35 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 3.2 steals, 1.6 blocks, 53.5 from the field, and 84.1 free throw from the line. I mean, let's look at some of the stuff. I mean, 35 points per game, basically 6 assists, 3.2 steals, 53.5% from the field. And we all know what year this was. Michael Jordan swept all the awards: Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, All-Star MVP, First Team Defense. Did I say Defensive Player of the Year? All-Star. That was it. Nobody ever had a season like that. So Michael Jordan, the next season, 88-89, puts up 32.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Wow. What happened, LeBron fans? You guys said this guy was only shooting the ball. You got to like the J.J. Redicks and the, what do you call it, Gilbert Arenas, all these people that say this. They want to see how retarded and dumb the LeBron fans really are, right? Because when you go look at LeBron's entire career from the beginning, when he was in Cleveland the first stint, it's laughable, right? It's pretty much laughable what this guy did. Not his stats. I'm talking about as far as him melting down in the playoffs against, I think, average competition. So, yeah, 32 points per game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 2.9 steals per game, zero point 0.8 blocks, 53.8 from the field, and 85% from the line. So, this was before Pippen. You guys got to understand, Mike was doing everything before Pippen came. And you're going to see this in a minute. This is during the regular season. So he was a menace on offense and defense. And you foul him, he's going to hit his free throws. He's not like LeBron, is going to break it up. 89-90 season. 88, 89, Pippen was already there. Pippen was there in 87, 88 too. But Pippen was a bench player. But you guys said Pippen carried Jordan. Well, it don't look like it to me. It don't look like it to me. This was Pippen's second year. So let's go into Pippen's third season with Jordan, 89-90 season. 33.6 points per game, insane. 6.9 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 2.8 steals, zero point 0.7 blocks on 52.6 from the field and 84.8 from the line. Insane. These last two seasons I just read off, the 89 season and the 90. Whew, wow, this is MVP whatever era you play in but the 80s. That's how strong the 80s was. You guys don't get it. You guys don't get it, okay? And you see LeBron over here with he failed, and you see the next Michael Jordan. He's got a lot to live up to, right? As they put up his numbers in the playoffs that he put up for one season, ain't did nothing during the regular season. Let's move on. 91. Well, Pippen's fourth season, 31.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2.7 steals, 1 block. 53.9 from the field, really 54%, 85.1 from the line. Wow. Wow. Let's move on. That year they won the first championship. So 91-92, Jordan, 30.1 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, 6.1 assists, 2.3 steals per game, 0.5 blocks on 51.9, really 52% shooting, and 83.2 from the line. Wow. Those steals is just like, this dude is like a menace. It's like a menace. And then you got the rebounds, you got the assists, and you got the 30 points per game on just totally efficient as a guard. So you basically can't stop this dude. If you stop him from splashing into the lane, he's going to kill you from outside on the mid-range. So basically no stopping this guy. You shoot 50% as a guard, that's insane for the season. Remember, LeBron didn't hit 50% from the field in a season until his 7th season as a forward. That's mind-blowing. As a forward who takes like 70% of his shots in the paint. And nobody says that. The media don't say nothing about that. It took him 7 seasons. They won the championship that year. So 92, 93, 32 point, what is that? 6 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2.8 steals, 0.8 blocks on 49.5 from the field and 83.7 from the line. Wow. That was a hell of a 6-year peak. And if we went back to 7 years, what was that, the 86, 87 season? Wow. I don't even know what to say. So we're going to go into the playoffs right here. 88 playoffs, 36.3 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 4.7 assists, 2.4 steals, 1.1 blocks, 53.1 from the field, and 86.9 from the line. Wow. Wow. And that's when they start playing, who is this? Detroit. So just think, his numbers would actually, I think, would be higher in the playoffs if he didn't have to play Detroit, because they was hacking this dude, all this stuff. 89. Yeah, 89, Pippen's second season. So these stats are just incredible. 89, Pippen's second season in the playoffs, 34.8 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, 7 assists, 2.5 steals, 0.5 blocks on 51% shooting from the field and 79.9 from the line. And a lot of dummies are going to be like, oh man, where's the 3-point percentage? When you're shooting attempting less than 1 3 a game, it's not even worth putting on here. You basically, when you're shooting attempting less than 1 a game or less than 2 a game, guess what? You're gonna have to hit like, whew, it's not worth it. It's not worth putting on here because you're not even trying. I'm gonna just say that, because if he attempted 1 a game, he might attempt 1. It might not even attempt another one for 2 games, and then attempt 1 another game, and then a different game might attempt 3, and then the next game won't attempt one. The next game won't attempt one. The next game maybe attempt three. So it's not you're not going to be a consistent shooter like he was a consistent mid-range shooter because he was consistently shooting the mid-range. So 90, 36.7 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 2.8 steals, zero point 0.9 blocks, 51.4 from the field, and 83.6 from the line. That's when I seen that, what was it, 79% from the line? I was kind of shocked because Jordan rarely shot like that back in the days. Rarely when he was in his peak. Rarely did he get to the 70s. I've seen LeBron get in the 60s. Wow. 91. The championship year. 31.1 points per game. 8.4 rebounds per game. 6.4 assists. 2.4 steals. 1.4 blocks. Woo, that's nasty right there. 52.4 from the field. 84.5 from the line. Wow. Talk about a menace. 2.4 steals and 1.4 blocks. Ew. Oh. Wow. This guy was just, while giving you 30 points on 52% from the field. Wow. And eight rebounds? Oh. Ooh. Y'all gotta stop, man. Anthony Edwards could never give you these kind of numbers. and you know, like I said before, if you're talking about Anthony Edwards at 22, once he starts going forward to 23, 24, the next year, you probably could say he had a better year than Michael Jordan at 23 because Michael Jordan broke his foot. So he only played like a couple games. But when we start to get into like 24, 25, 26, 27, it's going to be over. Anthony Edwards will never come up with no numbers like this. So back to back, 92, 34.5 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 2 steals, 0.7 blocks on 49% from the field. Basically 50%. Get the man 50%. And 80.5 from the line. So now, I'm not going to say Jordan started to get tired now, but you could see, you know, other people trying to help him now. Helping him more and more and more. You know, Pippen, the back-to-back championships. This guy had came into his own. Horace Grant, Paxson, you know, he was just getting a lot of help now. Even though he was putting up good numbers, his field goal percentage went down and started to go down. Why? Because he was shooting less. Not because he was breaking it up, because he was getting less chances to get his field goal percentage up. So he was shooting less from the field. Sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. You know, take for LeBron James, for instance, right? Once he went to Miami, his field goal percentage started to climb with those super teams and off to Cleveland a second time because he starts shooting less. And you can see that in a lot of playoff games. Since LeBron went to Miami, period, he went to go get shooters because the more he shoots, the more his field goal percentage goes down. So if he stays just bullying to the basket a lot without having to, you know, do a lot of mid-range, not shooting a lot of threes, just making probably 80% of his shots going to the basket. That's how he keeps his field goal percentage up. I think it was last year when I checked it, LeBron has in the paint, his field goal percentage is 67%. Wow. 67%. You know what Shaq's was? Shaquille O'Neal, 62%. Wow. So LeBron's career field goal percentage, though, is 50.5. The same as Jordan when he retired with the Bulls in 98. So you would think a guy who has his field goal percentage in the paint is 67%. I think that might be the highest. I'm not sure. I don't think it is. But you would think that guy's overall field goal percentage would at least be 55%, but it's not because he bricks it up. He bricks it up outside the paint from mid-range, pretty much from three, except for this season. So it can work in your favor or it can work against you. And Michael Jordan started taking less shots. So it kind of worked against him, but this same thing, 49.9%. So the next season, the three-peat, 35.1 points per game, 6.7 rebounds. I think this is 6 assists, 2.1 steals, zero point 0.9 blocks. It's basically one block. 47.5 field goal percentage and 85.7 from the line. So his field goal percentage went down just a little bit in the second three-peat, but he's a guard. His field goal percentage is supposed to be around 47% anyways. If you were shooting good, you probably won't find too many guards that chuck up 20 to 22 shots, 25 shots, and be shooting for 50%. It's impossible. I don't think anybody really, except for maybe Wilt Chamberlain did, right, for a long time. But he's a center. He's right on top of the basket. So it is what it is. This is the greatest peak of all time. There's no denying. You see the three-peat. The 3 steals titles. The 6 scoring titles. 6 All-NBA first teams. 6 All-NBA defensive teams. What else? I think 2 All-Star MVPs. Defensive Player of the Year. I think that's it. 6 All-Stars, of course. The peak is just insane. It's incredible. Nobody will never reach this peak. And the reason why I put this video together, because we're talking about Joker. Now we're talking about Joker. Joker won't ever have this kind of peak. Remember, Joker, this is his 9th season. Jordan was already peaking. And I'm not talking about championships, because this ain't what this is about right here. This is about your peak. I don't think Joker will never reach anything like this. It may look like it, but he's not going to reach it. What was it? 3 MVPs? Yeah, Joker's got 3 MVPs. But the fact is, Jordan was doing this as a guard against great big men. Great defense. Going from the 80s to the 90s. And you got to remember, about 88 to 93, guess what? He started playing them Pistons. And he didn't break down. They had to make rules to stop this guy. Rules. And if he didn't play the Pistons and get beat up, because his averages did go down as far as scoring, this man was liable to average 35 to 40 in the playoffs if he never had to play the Pistons. He took that ass whooping from the Pistons and just kept coming back the next season. And it was making the league look bad. That's why they had to change the rules to a flagrant foul. They act like they changed the rules to you getting tossed out of the game like they do now. If you even breathe on somebody now, it's a flagrant foul. So what are we talking about? This guy was getting punched and kicked in the air and getting pulled out of the air while he was going up for a basket. For playing basketball. They had to make Jordan rules for this guy. They never made LeBron rules. They're never going to make Anthony Edwards rules. They don't make Joker rules. Maybe Hack-a-Shaq. But the rules were beat the man up, punch him and kick him while he's in the air, trip him, pull him out of the air. And what was it called? Just a foul. Just a common foul. These were called common fouls. And don't tell me, oh man, they was doing it to the rest of the league. First of all, does that make it right? Even if they was, which is a lie. Second of all, they wasn't doing it to the entire league. Yes, they was roughhousing, pushing dudes around, taking cheap shots, but they was not pulling Larry Bird out the air. They wasn't pulling Dr. J out the air. They wasn't punching and kicking these guys, Magic Johnson and Kareem, while they were in the air, because they knew once Mike got in the air, it was over. The greatest finisher of all time. Not with a forearm, not pushing you, stiff arming you like LeBron does. None of that. Mike lived above the rim. And after they changed the rules, it was still hand checking. It was still elbows in the back of the post. You just couldn't punch and kick somebody in the air and grab them out the air and do all this crazy stuff. Like I said, LeBron couldn't even play in that era. And they only did it because Charles Oakley wasn't on that team no more. Horace Grant was a I'm not even going to say the name. So you didn't have no enforcers on that team. And the Pistons, they just going to sucker punch you, push you, grab you out of midair. But anyways, yeah, if Jordan didn't never have to play the Pistons as far as him doing the rough play, he would have averaged 40 from 88. I think from 88 to 90, he would have averaged 40 points per game. Let's just say if the Pistons played them fair, if it was a fair game. Because as soon as it became fair, when you can't punch and you saw, if you go back and watch 91, they were still trying to do crazy stuff to him, right? They just wasn't kicking him and punching him while he was in the air and grabbing him out the air. And of course, they would have won in 90 if Pippen would not have sat on the bench with a headache. So, to me, Joker's never going to have a peak like this. I think what he does is kind of overrated. He sits out there and he has the ball 70% of the time. They're pouring to LeBron James. Luka and Joker, they're pouring to LeBron James. They're just out there holding the ball, hand the ball to somebody, and then he shoots. Yes, he'll make a spectacular play here and there, but for the most part, who is he going against as far as great centers? I mean, the defensive player of the year already got exposed. Let's think about some defensive players of the year back in the 90s. The Dikembe Mutombo, David Robinson, Hakeem, they wouldn't get exposed like Rudy Gobert, and they're going to give you a stat line. Steals, blocks, 20 to 30 points per game, was the leader of the team, that type of stuff. So Joker ain't going against nobody as far as defense. Another thing is, Jordan was a two-way player. Joker is not a two-way player. I see guys come at him all the time, and he just backs up and lets them go straight to the bucket. That if I keep seeing that, this guy will never be in my top 10. Never. I don't care if he wins a three-peat. And it's a center with not even one defensive team. He didn't even make the second team yet. So that's what I'm saying. If these guys back then, say Michael Jordan, if he just had to use all his energy just for offense and just could put up 40, 50 a game without getting these steals, you see it, without getting these blocks, you see it, and just did the rebounds, assists, and points, man, please. That man would have put up like 45 to 50 points per game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. What are we talking about? As a guard. But no, that ain't how the game was played back then. If you was a great center, you were great on offense and defense for the most part. Well, elite. Let me say elite center. Because Mutombo, he was great, but he wasn't elite because he wasn't a two-way player. So your Mornings, your Ewings, Hakeem's, let me see, David Robinson's, your Shaqs. You had to be a two-way player. You had to be great on both sides of the ball. And that's what Michael Jordan was. And that's what all the great guys were back in the day. Well, the elite guys. The Gary Paytons. Yeah, so the rebounds for him, suspect. He can't jump off the ground. So let's say if it was great centers in the league, is he going to get all these rebounds? Because you got 4 guys sitting at the 3-point line. There's nobody inside to battle you for the rebounds. Michael Jordan was getting his rebounds over great power forwards, small forwards, and great centers. Who was Joker getting his against? And Anthony Edwards. I really don't want to talk about this guy. So this is the greatest peak of all time. I could have just gave you the averages, but I didn't want to. I want to give you year by year numbers. They're not going to tell you this stuff on TV. It makes LeBron look bad. It makes everybody that comes after, Michael Jordan look bad. And this is why Michael Jordan is a GOAT and is the gold standard. And they know this. You can go back and look at the stats. They're not going to teach you this. They already know this stuff. It's just up to you every time they try to compare for you to say, what the hell are you talking about? People say, oh, Jordan, well, it's just because of championships. Well, here you go. A rookie. Remember, when he was a rookie, he led his team in 4 statistical categories. Nobody has ever did that as a rookie. Not because of championships. Remember, his championships came later. He was already doing this stuff when he came in the league. It ain't got nothing to do with championships. Championships just capped it off. Was something that he was supposed to get. Once he didn't have to play 3 to 5 Hall of Famers every year with no help. Tell me what you think.